In a recent video, I shared an alternative way to do color changes, and from that video, I had 2 video requests. One, how to do the change while working in the round, such as in amigurumi, and 2, how to do a jogless join. So if you're unfamiliar with what jogging is,
or yogging, it might be a soft J.
It's the term used to describe that distinct line that's created when you change colors while working continuously in the round. It can be a real frustration, and although there are a lot of great videos out there teaching different solutions, there really isn't an easy way to remove this completely because of the nature of the stitch. When you're working continuously in the round, it's naturally going to cause a step up with that stitch, which means it's always going to be 1 stitch higher from the beginning to the end. And like I mentioned, there are a lot of videos out there with different methods to fix this, and basically they all have one thing in common, and that's to improve the look of that gap. Now, I'm not going to share all of the techniques here, just the one that I prefer to use, but I will add links to them in the description box just in case you want to check them out and try them for yourself. Now here's the method I use because it's very simple to do and it does camouflage the area enough for me to be happy. And it's simply to start the round with a slip stitch in that very first stitch. So first I'm going to show it with a standard color change. And then I'll show you how to do the color change that I showed you in the previous video. For a standard color change, you always want to finish that very last stitch of the round using your new color to finish that stitch. We're going to complete that final stitch halfway. So we're just pulling our yarn through, and instead of completing it, we're going to bring in the new color, pull it through the stitch, and now you've just completed that round and you're ready with your new color. So to begin the new round, we're just going to do a slip stitch into that very first stitch. And what that's doing is it's helping to pull that previous stitch down closer to the beginning of this round to help bridge that gap. And then you can continue on with your single crochets as you normally would. And then when you come to the end of the round, you're just going to work a single crochet into that slip stitch, just like normal, and continue on with the next round. So as you can see here, it's not perfect, but it's a lot better. And it doesn't hurt to just kind of manipulate it as you're working, just help straighten it out. Now how to do it with the other color changing method, really easy to do. You're just going to remove your hook from the yarn, go into the front 2 bars, same kind of concept, pull the yarn through, create your slip stitch for that very first stitch, and then just pull that loop, just get it out of the way, and continue on with your round. What I love so much about that color change for me personally, it's just a lot less fiddly, and it just holds my tension a little bit better as I'm working that color change. One thing to keep in mind with that color change is the application is different, but the result is the same. So your stitches are going to lay in the same place. It's not going to affect the jogging any better or worse. It's going to be the same. And here again, we're back to the beginning of the round. And so we're just going to work a single crochet into that slip stitch to continue the next round. So just one more time, we're getting ready to do another color change. So we're just going to bring in our next color. Go through those front 2 loops. Pull it through. Remember just to do a slip stitch for that very first stitch. Go ahead and pull that loop out of the way and continue on with regular single crochets all the way around. Now you might have noticed that I had another little sample here, and what I wanted to show you is there's always the option of fastening on and off. If you don't mind cutting your yarn, you can get a more seamless look just by cutting your yarn and restarting in a different area. Now you're still dealing with the same issue of the stitch height being one off, but if you're attaching for a color change in different portions of the project, it's not going to be as eye-catching as if you're doing it all in one place. So if that appeals to you, let me just give you a couple of tips with that. What I would recommend you do is a standing single crochet to begin the round. So to do a standing single crochet, add a slip knot to your hook. Go into any stitch, pull your yarn through, yarn over, and pull through the 2 loops. That's going to give you a single crochet. So you don't have to worry about doing a chain 1 or anything like that. You're done with your first stitch. Continue doing the rounds in your new color. And then when you're finished with the round, go ahead and remove your hook, snip your yarn. And what I would recommend you do is an invisible seam. Pull that loop so you have a tail. You can do this with your crochet hook or with a tapestry needle. So what you want to do so you don't lose a stitch is you skip 1 stitch and go over to the next stitch. Go through both loops. Okay, and then come in the middle and just go through the back loop. And what you're doing here is you're making the top of a crochet stitch. And then just double check, that should give you your number that you were using. Now the only issue with this is that when you come in with the next round, this can come undone very easily. So you either have to weave in that end, which is kind of a pain. So what I recommend you do instead is before you remove the tapestry needle, just go under one of the stitches to kind of anchor it in place. Not too tight because you don't want to pull that top stitch out. Just going to snip a little bit of that off. And now what you can do is when you're working your next round, just work your crochet stitches around it and that will hold it into place for you. So find a different place to start working. Slip knot on the hook, start somewhere here, just away from where you've fastened off. Create your single crochet. And now I'm just going to work my single crochets, making sure to sandwich that tail into the stitch as I work. And then that way, you've essentially weaved that tail in. So yes, if you don't mind snipping your yarn, this is a really good option. But if you just want to keep things really, really simple, stick with that slip stitch. If you'd like to learn more about the color changing technique that I showed you in this video, you can find the link here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.